Good morning, everybody. I see the Clink Different virtual trip here. Is that what we're supposed to be viewing right now?
Yeah, it looks like we've got 6 on so far. You can put in the chat box. I know you're all out in Oregon. Most everybody from Portland, or anybody down in the further down in the Willamette? Very cool. We got Kelsey in from Bend. John also from Bend. Spent some time in McMinnville and kind of traveling all around this last spring, and it was great.
Yeah, I lived in Bend for a couple of months when I was a youngster.
Oh, nice. Very, very cool. Okay, McMinnville, Allie. This looks like 8. I think this is more or less a quorum, no?
Well, there we go. Excellent. Let's get this started today. Welcome, everybody. Hope you've got your wines in front of you. I think we're going to have a really fun day today. We are doing our Clink Different, first of our series of seminars. And we have the 6 different winemakers with us today and 6 different wines. My name is Jay Fletcher. I am the executive director of wine for Southern Glaciers Wine and Spirits in Colorado, but I'm also the cellar master for the Somm Foundation and started the Somm Foundation some years ago. And if you guys are aware of the Somm Foundation, check out our website. We give away scholarships for all sorts of studies. We help people in the wine industry. And prior to COVID, we sent people on trips around the world, all expenses paid, in conjunction with our different supporters and suppliers. So check out our website. It's the Somm Foundation, and you'll see all the great stuff that we do and all the people that we've helped. For the last few years, we've been giving away about $150,000 in scholarships a year, and typically we send people on over 20 to 25 trips around the world every single year. I have my friend Greg Dan Wagner with me today. Greg is an amazing human being. Greg passed all 3 parts of the master's exam on his first try in 2018. He is a phenomenal wine expert on all sorts of things. And Greg has developed a platform called Somm Geo. And Somm Geo is basically a snapshot of the earth that he has now put a diagram together with basically tracing all the fantastic wine regions of the earth. There are thousands of pins. It's a great tool. You can get access to Somm Geo by signing up for a membership on our Somm Foundation website. This same membership fee will go to help other people with scholarships and do fantastic things. Today we're going to be focusing on 2 different iconic wine regions, Bordeaux and Germany, both historic, both have certain connotations about them, but there's so much more, so much value in both of these countries, so much diversity of wines and climate that each one of these areas could take days and days to study. Today we're going to have a 2-hour profile, and we're going to taste these wines, and we're going to go through these different wine regions. So to start it off, we're going to have Greg do a little overview of the different areas, and he's going to do a little overview of Bordeaux right now. But we're really excited with the winemakers today. We have Madeleine Hostich with Chateau Le Rose Trentadon. We have Nicolas Boissonneau with Chateau Moulin de Ferrand. We have Coralie de Boire with Clos de Boire. We have Philip Conzin with J.J. Christoffel and Montschaft Vineyards. We have Sasha Schilma with Weingut Donhoff, fantastic producer, of course, and then Håkan Björr from Weingut Brewer. So we'll go through these producers and wines one by one. But first of all, we'll have Greg give us an overview with his fantastic Somm Geo overview.
Perfect. Well, welcome everybody. It's great to be here. This is the very first Clink Different trip. The Som Foundation and Clink Different thanks you. And basically what this is all about is these wines that are really cool to see that you may not see quite as often, whether it's the reds and rosés coming from Germany, or some of the classics, the benchmark Riesling, or, Bordelais wines outside of, these, say, classified gross, really focusing on these producers that are doing really stellar jobs in classic wine regions that keep the inspiration going in modern times. So basically, we'll kind of head right over to give an overview of Germany, but really we're going to start this off in France. They're on just the western side. We have Bordeaux. And we wanted to have this be more of a trip. And the reason why there's just a few of you on here is we want a lot of interaction. So feel free to put anything in the chat box, talk about the wines, questions for the winemakers. We'll be monitoring that and bringing it up. We're headed over to Bordeaux. And I unfortunately haven't got to visit the Site de Vin, but I know it's just an architectural masterpiece and definitely a big part of the region. Our first producer, we're going to be hailing from the Medoc. Obviously, the Dutch drained this in the 17th century, the 1600s. We have these communal appellations all lined up and really, really prized vineyard land all around. And I love these Medoc wines. You can get such incredible wines. You can really seek out different and new estates, and really just an incredible terroir. So here we have, this is the commune of Saint Laurent Medoc, just at the border of Pauillac and Saint-Julien. Here we have Chateau La Rose Trintignant, really beautiful estate. With the history, so this goes back to 1719, but the really modern times start in 1838 with the establishment of this vineyard. And this area it's one of the most ancient gravel beds in the whole of the Medoc. So any trip to Bordeaux, it's not complete without spending some time in the city. This is really one of my favorite areas of France. It's such a vibrant city. There's so much going on. And one of the main sites of the city and the must-see is the Place de la Bourse. Really, really incredible area. But we'll be passing through there as we head down to Entrée de Mer, literally translating into between two seas, this land between the Garonne and the Dordogne rivers. The appellation by the same name is for dry white wines. But the area is so important as the home of many Bordeaux AOP and Bordeaux Superior AOP wines because Merlot does so well here. Here we have, this is the Chapeau de Notre Dame de Lorette. So the monks that were in charge of this in the 1100s were also the first to plant vines in this area. So we'll head to Chateau Moulin de Ferrand. Here we have an incredible estate. It's certified organic and uses cover crops. Really cool to see. Certified organic with a suggested retail price under $20 is uncommon, but really, really incredible. And then our third Bordeaux producer, we're headed over to the right bank to Montagne Saint-Emilion. These say satellites of Saint-Emilion. They have very similar regulations and wine growing conditions. The wines have a lot in common, though these areas can be a touch cooler, which I theorize could be a benefit as the climate changes. And since it's a wine trip, we've got to have a little fun, so we'll go to a nice lunch. One of the best restaurants here is Logis de la Cadenne. Definitely have a really fun wine list, and it's old, a lot of old aged wines, and a lot of fun we have. Here we have Chateau Clos de Bouard, really stunning landscape over in Montagne Saint-Emilion. And I nosed through these wines, but I'm really excited to taste them, and so I'll hand it back to Jay to kind of get more in depth with.
Well, thank you, Greg. Nice little map overview. So let's go to Chateau La Rose Trintignant with Madeleine Hostach. Madeleine is, she was cut her kind of teeth in America as a ambassador for terroir wines. She visited at least 36 states and discovered the American culture. She's now back in France, and she's the export manager for the wines of de La Rose. Of course, as Greg said, La Rose Trintignant has been there for a long time, since the 1700s. Henry de la Rose was the mayor in that area. Of course, you know the famous classified growth of Grualuos as well, associated with Henry. The La Roche Trentadon has been designated in the new Cru Bourgeois Superior in 2020. Of course, it's in the Old Medoc, Cru Bourgeois, classic gravel soils, and an excellent wine, and always been a great value. Madeline, tell us about the wine, and let's hear more about this great property and this historic property.
Well, thank you, Jay. And like, I think you've said everything. I have nothing more to say. No, kidding. But I don't know, guys, if you noticed during Craig's presentation, but actually La Roche-Trentenon. So we are a group of 4 different properties: La Roche-Trentenon, La Rose, Bergosson, Chateau Arnaud, and Chateau Tour de Pez. So 3 of them are within the Haut-Médoc appellation, and the 4th one is in the Saint-Estèphe appellation. We have an history that goes back to the 18th century, as Jay mentioned, but since 1986, we are owned by the group of insurance called Allianz, meaning that we have the chance to be able to engage lots of investments, for example, renovation, whereas we have the liberty to manage the vineyard as we want, especially since our general manager and technical director, Frank Bijon, has been there for over 30 years. So he's definitely an asset for the vineyard. He is also an asset for the Allianz Group because they trust him. We trust him. So that's the thing. Another really important thing is that we are talking, if we talk more specifically about La Roche-Trentenon, we are definitely at the corner of the Pauillac and the Saint-Julien appellation, meaning that we are surrounded by some of the most prestigious Grand Cru Classés. There are our immediate neighbors, such as La Tour Carnet, Du Cru Beaucaillou, or even Chateau Latour. So that gives you an idea of the terroir that we have. And Chateau La Roche-Trentenon, so here is the bottle, red and gold label. It's been known for many, many years here in the US because it has been distributed for decades in the US. So in the 80s, it was distributed through Diageo Seagrams. That's how we introduced the wine in the US market. They unfortunately stopped the partnership. So since then, we had to rebuild everything. And today, I am pleased to tell you that we already have a distribution in Oregon through Casa Bruno. They distribute all our portfolio. So also the other chateau that I can't talk really today. I'm sad about it, but if you shoot me an email, I'll be pleased to tell you more about it. And we have a good partnership with them. So if you have any question, you can also shoot an email to Reed or Elman. Now, if you have, if we talk more specifically about the wine itself, so today we are talking about the 2016 vintage. So as you might know, so this is the current vintage distributed by Casa Bruno, just so you know. If we talk about this vintage specifically, you might have heard about it as well as the 2015 as both very, very good vintages, though both very different. to explain you more about the vintage of the 2016. So the first year, the first half part of the year was very tricky for us, if I may say so, because we had a lot of rain until July. So pretty much like we are experiencing right now here in Bordeaux. But fortunately, we had a period of like long dry after this, without excessive heat. So that was like the perfect temperature. And then a few showers again, beginning of September. So right before the harvest, meaning like to help finishing the grapes to grow. But still, like if we compare the 15 and the 16 vintage, the grapes were like 15 to 30% lower for the 16 vintage. So that means that it's much more concentrated, and that might explain the difference in taste for the two. Also, another thing that is important to say is the blend. La Roche-Trentonneau is always a blend of Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and Petit Verdot, with adjustments between years depending on the climate and the weather, of course. And for the 2016, we have 5% of Petit Verdot. So it's like the Petit Verdot is always like a cherry on the cake, no more than 9-10% anyway. Then we have 45% of Cab and 50% of Merlot. And in terms of ratings, it's a pretty good vintage because we got 92 points by most of the people. I can give you like Jam Circling, for example, the Wine Enthusiast. We got 94 also by Chris Kissack. So that's good, good grades. And that's pretty consistent every year. As Jay mentioned, we are part of the Cru Bourgeois classification. Since last year, we've been classified as Cru Bourgeois Superior. So that means that we are engaged in this quality, also engaged in sustainability, which is very important for us. We have like many, I could give you many examples of what we do, but like sadly, I don't have that many times left. So I would just give you an example by with the bee. We have beehives throughout the vineyards. So it's good because we have like free honey for the staff. So that's interesting. But also, and more importantly, it's very, very helpful for the vineyard, for the pollination. We'll also reintroduced some like plant variety to help this pollination, this sustainability. We have lightened up the weight of our cases, of our bottles, and that's the kind of things that we are trying to do, always improve our carbon footprint. I don't know if you have any questions. If I have time left, I think I'm done, but I could be talking for the entire time tonight. So I might not be that selfish and let the others speak as well. But Jay, you're on mute.
Thank you so much for the presentation. And if you have any questions, we can ask them and address them. I think this wine is really showing well. I mean, the suggested retail price on this is under, it's $22.50 or something like that. You know, this is a great example of the value that you see at Bordeaux. When you look at what you can get in, you know, in America for this kind of money, it's not even close. And especially with this kind of history and this kind of packaging. I mean, the tannins are silky, it's smooth, it's integrated, it's got the classic Bordeaux with the dark cherry, the black currant. There's just a hint of chocolate mint there, a little bit of just, it's got the gravel coming through on it. So really, really smooth. I think it's freaking great. This is, just a perfect example of what goes on. 16, of course, great vintage as well. Very, very highly renowned vintage. So super value here. And Greg, do you have any
Here
comments?
with Printedon, you have like one example of what we do. But as I said, we have other properties. So that's just like an introduction to us, actually. Not only to Bordeaux, but to us as well.
So this is one of your value wines in your portfolio.
Yes.
Excellent. So a lot of place for growth. And we're lucky we have distribution now in Oregon. So you guys can grab these wines. And, to me, this is a perfect wine by the glass in a high-end restaurant. It's easy to drink. It's got all the characteristics you want. Greg, what do you think about the wine, sir?
I think it's amazing, particularly, I mean, how the 16 showing, this is like, it's integrated, it's supple. It definitely is one of those wines that, you taste and it invites you to have another glass of. And I mean, I sell wine on the floor every night, and I can just think of the number of guests that would absolutely love this. And this is a wine too that, I mean, it's priced so well that, you can take your full margin on and really still have an incredible value to the guest.
I agree. Excellent. Okay, then I guess we'll move along and we'll go to the Entrée Dîner. I had a chance to stay there at one time. I stayed in a little castle there and was doing Vin Expo, really pretty area, divided by the Dordogne de Guérin. We're going to go to Moulin de Ferrand, where we have Nicolas Boissonneau, who is sixth generation owner. Their pride, again, this is a vineyard that was planted by the great Eleanor of Aquitaine way back in 1150. The Boissonneau family's been there since 1839. They produce, of course, red and white wines, but they are certified organic. This particular wine is a pretty cool blend. They do everything right, and we're excited to hear from Nicolas about this fantastic wine.
Thank you, Jay, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. So I'm Nicolas, the sixth generation of the Boissonneau family from the Chateau Moulin de Ferrand. It's actually pretty amazing. It's one of the US and actually the markets on the West Coast were probably the first market we started years back. I mean, I think my dad actually started that probably 30 years ago, started to sell Chateau Moulin de Ferrand in the US. I mean, so we moved along and with the same company. It's called Grape Expectation. They have been there for a long time too. And we have been working with them for such a long time. And that's a pretty amazing story. We're actually living all together. So the family has been making wine for more than 180 years. We celebrated actually 180 years back in 2019. We have mostly actually red on the estates. We do also some whites. I will show you a map a little bit after. I mean, is to give you the idea of where we are, the type of wines that we have. But the most important is so we started in 1839. Today we have the fifth and the sixth generation at the winery. So my brother is actually there making the wine. I'm more in the sales part of it. My uncle he retired from the Air Force years back and is retiring at the end of the year. So basically, at the end of the year, it's going to be two of us to run the vineyards. Today, so we are 136 acres, mainly in the Bordeaux area. So we are in the southern part of Bordeaux. Let me show you. I have a little map for you guys. Let me see if I'm going to share my screen like this. You can definitely see where we are located. Here we are. So I think you can all see, I mean, is where, oops, the screen. So here is basically the entire vineyard that we have on the start. That's where the winery is here. We are 1 hour southeast of Bordeaux. You see the 8 kilometers and the 5 miles arrow. Just below there is a road. It's basically the limit of the Bordeaux appellation. There is a small stream just below that, and that's the limit of the Bordeaux appellation. South of that, we actually are in the southwest of France wine. So we have some Côte du Marmande wines, and you can see them actually on the right side of the map. There are some red. You get some grape varieties that are actually not obscure, but like the Arborio is pretty amazing grape to work with. And so total at the winery, we have 11 different grapes that we, white and reds, that we work. And everything here that you can see is certified organic. We started that back in 2006, the certification. It took us 10 years to move from the conventional winemaking and vineyard management to get certified to 100% of the vineyards. So it's a long time for many reasons. It's a different philosophy. It's a different way of working the vineyard, of working the soil. You have to teach the people that work in the vineyard to work differently. So yeah, that 10 years. I mean, it's 2016. We were actually 100% certified organic in the entire vineyard. The exciting news from last year, after the harvest of 2020, that's we started the biodynamic certification. That's my brother Pascal actually decided to move to that and to bring the philosophy a little bit further. So to get that certification, the biodynamic certification within the next 2 years, probably. I mean, so with the main goal, I mean, the main goal is to make top value organic wine and then biodynamic wine. That's definitely the goal. If you look at the Moulin de Ferrand, so that's going to be this with the sticker with 180 years anniversary here. So the Chateau Moulin de Ferrand, that's basically retail for like 16 bucks. That's where we like 15, 16. That's where we try to be. But the Chateau Moulin de Ferrand, the map is basically on the top left. You have some Merlot, some Cabernet Sauvignon. The Chateau Moulin Ferrand originally was actually there, and the parcel of white you see a little bit south of it, you get some green parcels actually just above the VB logo. That's what they were part of the Chateau Moulin de Ferrand. So Moulin de Ferrand, it's basically this area north of the winery itself. So let me put this. It actually summarizes pretty well the main point of what we do and who we are. We are a family-owned winery, and so as I mentioned, certified organic, and working all the different grapes and working on getting back that biodiversity in our vineyard, which is probably one of the most important things. Just not talking just about the soil. I mean, it's climate changing, it's moving. It's not just about the soil. It's just about all the other elements that you have around the trees. We started a program to actually put back the edges around the parcels that actually bring back some birds. We also started a nesting box program in the vineyard for bats, because bats actually eat a lot of insects. We have them around the winery. You can see them at dusk, but when you have the boxes, you get actually much more, and they are good to keep a good biodiversity around. And same for the bees. We actually make our own honey at the winery. My parents are retired, but they take care of that. So that during their free time, they enjoy doing the honey. And the idea is getting further and further on the techniques that we use and keeping the value on the wine. So that's one of the important part of what we try to develop also. I mean, but we need to evolve with the innovation. We need to evolve, getting that biodiversity back and that biological life also back into the vineyard, into the soil. But there's a lot of techniques and technical innovation that we can use. So we got last year a new sorting table. That's the first time we ever got that. We are getting in the next few weeks a pneumatic press. And we started back last spring using some sandstone amphoras to make some new cuvées, to try to blend these new cuvées and these new wines with our barrels. So trying different things and trying to innovate and move further. It's always very, very important. There's so many things to do in Bordeaux, and in this Entre-deux-Mers area, there is so much value there. I think that's Greg. You mentioned some, I don't know if it's Greg, so maybe more Merlot on the, or John mentioned that on some more Merlot on the right bank. We are currently we have more Merlot, but historically we are actually getting a little bit more Cabernet, and the Cabernet Sauvignon and Cabernet Franc, they show very, very well. They show a very good structure. So it's they make outstanding wine there. And the good part of it is in the Entre-deux-Mers is getting some white, some dry white. And that's where we have that Chateau Moulin de Ferrand. We always say it's a Sauvignon Blanc, Semillon, and Muscadel because it's pretty classic, and we try to also make it simple on the label, but definitely there is like half some Sauvignon Blanc and some Sauvignon Gris on the wine, and then some Semillon and Muscadel. And the idea of this wine is always to keep it very clean, very crisp, and very aromatic. The wine actually evolved over the years. We started to harvest a little bit earlier to get that Sauvignon Blanc touch on the wine that actually getting very aromatic and give us a nice acidity. And the Semillon here is here to basically bring everything around and put on your palate the kind of a texture into it, where when you taste it, you have a nice acidity, but the Semillon is basically putting everything around your mouth, a little bit fat almost. I mean, and the Muscadel is also for the aromatic. So it's something that's been working very, very well. I mean, it's for the in the market, in the US market, for the white, especially some stuff like this that could go for by the glass around like $9, $10, $10. I mean, it's by the glass. So in many restaurants, that's something they enjoy. There's a lot of seafood also on the West Coast, so that actually pair very well.
Excellent, Nicolas. This wine is fantastic. I love
Let me see. Yeah, that was the blend actually of the different grape varieties. I'm going to remove the sharing, but the Sauvignon Blanc, Sauvignon Gris, Semillon, and Muscadel.
The lees on this really come through excellent. It's got that creamy texture on the back of it. And a lot of people don't realize what great wines come from the Entre-deux-Mers. One of the greatest places and value, when you think about Sauvignon Blanc in France, you think oftentimes Sancerre, or you would think the classified chateaus of Pessac-Léognan, but it is the Entre-deux-Mers that has the great value and such great terroir for these varietals. And to me, this wine coming through, it's got the beautiful citrus tones of lemon and lime, but the tangerine coming through, it's got a fresh honeydew melon in there, and then the creamy texture from the extended lees aging, super clean. I'm really happy with this wine, and I think it'd go great in so many different restaurants, and such a great value as well, and a beautiful and historic property. Greg, your comments on this wine?
Yeah, I mean, I love to see wines like this on By the Glass list because, you know, this is a wine that gets its character from the grapes, right? You know, there's a lot of times you look at By the Glass list and you have, you know, your fairly neutral white wines. And then, you know, you maybe have a Sancerre, which nowadays is getting out of By the Glass pricing, but is also getting more kind of neutral along the way. To me, these wines have a ton of character and it's a really beautiful character, and it's not from oak or malolactic. So it's always great to see these on By the Glass list because you can get a really interesting wine without having to deal with oak and something that actually has some real complexities to it.
You know, I love the fact that you know, they're organic and doing everything right in the vineyard. I love the bees, you know, everything they're trying to do to make natural winemaking, and that's a big thing here in the United States now. We all know that we have to eat and drink more responsibly, that we need to take care of the earth, and that's exactly what they're doing at Chateau Ferrand and Moulin de Ferrand. So we're really
Thank
happy
you,
to
Jeff.
have this wine in the flight. I guess we're going to move north now. We are going to go to Montagne Saint-Emilion. We have the famous Coralie de Bois. Of course, her father is a legend in the industry with Chateau Angelou, Fleur de Bois, you know, one of the great innovators. Coralie was born on the property. I have visited the property. What a fantastic property. As a matter of fact, when I was in Saint-Emilion a few years ago for the Girard de Saint-Emilion on a Sopexa trip, I was kind of the host for some younger people. Your father was sitting on the table next to me, celebrating his win to Grand Cru Classe A. So that was pretty fantastic. So this is a really cool property. She bought this property to have her own chateau so that she could continue with her family generation. It's right next to Troplong Mondo and Chateau Volandro. It is, you know, some old vines here. It's a great property. She is really going to continue with the family legacy and make fantastic wine. So Coralie, we're excited to talk to you about the Dame de Bois today.
So we're talking, thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to share a little bit because it's been so long not sharing our passion and not be able to travel and to meet you. So we try to do it this way, and I'm very happy to be part of this experience. Chateau Clos de Bois is the challenge of my life because, as you said, I had the chance to grow up in Chateau Angelus. Then I took over the management of La Fleur de Bois in 2012. And while I was there, I was also looking for my new vineyard, which is today Chateau Clos de Bois. So it's in Montagne Saint-Emilion. I could have bought a winery in Pomerol or in Saint-Emilion, but I decided to look for a terroir because during all my childness and all my studies, my father, my grandfather always told me, as soon as you have the terroir, you will always be able to make a grand vin. So as you know, buying a terroir in Pomerol or buying a terroir in Saint-Emilion, it's not the same challenge in terms of price. So I found this winery who is on the southeast face of Montagne Saint-Emilion. We are on the warmest part of Montagne Saint-Emilion. It's at 100 meters from the famous Barbanne, and La Barbanne is separating the appellation. So I'm next to Saint-Emilion, but in Montagne Saint-Emilion. The label, I decided to create it also, and it's on reverse. The label is telling my history. If you check on the label, just while you're drinking a little bit of wine, you can find the bell of Chateau Angelus, you can find the lion of my family arms, then going up, you can find horse, because we have horses also running in our terroir. my cellar, the crown of my family arms, the combe of Saint-Christophe-des-Bardes, where is situated Chateau Clos de Bois. My barrels, because it's very important to manage the volume of wood, but it's important also to manage the complexity of your wine. The bell of Saint-Emilion, because I'm a child of Saint-Emilion. Cayenne, who is my Jack Russell and follows me every day in my vineyard and in my cellar. And O for Oscar, my youngest son, who is always happy to come and help me in the cellar. And J, like Gaspard, my oldest son. And of course, we never forget the art of Coralie, because everything I make is made with my heart. So I'd like to show you a little bit why I'm so interested in going through the terroirs. Just because I try to go on. Voilà. So Montagne Saint-Emilion is very interesting because if you look at the tower of Montagne Saint-Emilion, it's exactly the same one as Saint-Emilion. It's very important for me because there's no matter, and it really showed my quality engagement, my quality proof in terms of winemaking. My pleasure is to share with you my success, my passion. So if I want to share my success and my passion, I have to show you that you are able today to access to a very good wine for much less money. My goal is to make sure that we have the biggest quantity of Clos de Bois or Dame de Bois all around the world, which is permitting to create a convivial event, to create some souvenirs. What a pleasure for me when I see an email saying we met around a bottle of Chateau Clos de Bois or around a bottle of Dame de Bois. We would like to have your wine for our wedding. So I love this, and this is what I hope to continue. So as you can see on this picture, you can see that from my cellar, we can see Trollon-Mondo, we can see Fontbroge, we can see Saint-Christophe-des-Bardes church, and of course, the orientation of Parsac. Parsac is an appellation who is ancestrally known for the quality of its terroir, with a lot of clay and limestone. So of course, I like to manage a lot my extraction process to make all the wine arriving in your mass very welcoming. So if you come to the winery, I will not stop to work for you, but I will integrate you in my job because winemaker job is made to be shared. My experience, I want to share it with you, and I want to make the wine going through your blood like it is going for me. I never wanted to be a princess. I always had this passion in my arm, and that's something I want to share with you. It's very important also to tell you that I consider myself like owning today the land of Chateau Clos de Bois, but it's only for a while, for some time. And this land, I want to transmit it one day. If it's not to my kids, it will be to someone else. And for that, I work every day in terms of looking for my ecological environment. So we develop a lot of the culture of fruit trees, trying to pass less and less in the vineyard with the machine, but trying to be more and more listening to Mother Nature. So this is what we can say about Dame de Bois, but I think we are here to talk about Chateau Clos de Bois. So Chateau Clos de Bois, I don't know if I'm still... comment je fais pour fermer le partage?
En rouge.
En rouge? Ah, voilà. I'm back. Okay, sorry. So we're here to talk about Château Clos de Bois. Château Clos de Bois, it's a wine made with 85% Merlot, 4% Cabernet Sauvignon, and the rest is Cabernet Franc. And 2016 is my first vintage. I bought this vineyard in 2016, September 26. But I took over all the viticulture process before buying, because I really wanted to have this vintage for me. It's a wine which is giving a lot of pleasure. It's full-bodied, but not too much full-bodied. It's a lot of fruit, but also a lot of spices showing on the nose. And it's 2016 is now arrived at maturity and is able to give a lot of pleasure, showing some evaluating flavors like underwood, but like leather, like tobacco. And it's a wine which is able to give pleasure with or without food. And almost any food is able to go with this wine. I'm not a carpet seller. I'm first doing what I like, what I want to share. And I know that we cannot satisfy everyone. So I hope I will satisfy the most people when they will taste my wine. But I can also accept talking with you and, of course, understand why or why not.
Thank you, Corley. That is, I think we're all tasting this Dame du
you're tasting
Bois.
Dame du Bois.
Yeah, which to me is another just unbelievable example of value. I mean, this wine, they're suggesting the retail price in Oregon at $22. This wine rocks. It's rich, it's chocolatey. It has this beautiful, to me, like kind of a cocoa mocha palate. The fruits are seductive. It's 60% Merlot. A lot of people think that Merlot is, in America, of course, they haven't realized that some of the greatest wines in the world are these Merlot Cab Franc blends. And, we love to put them in blind tastings as well, because oftentimes they are confused with the ripeness and the beauty and the purity of a New World wine. But this has got the qualities of old and New World. So you can tell that the winemaking is super clean. This wine doesn't have any flaws, really well integrated. And for your first vintage, I'm excited to see what's happening here, in the future, once you get, to work your magic on this in the next 10 years. It's going to be really, really something. So really impressive. And again, everything that you've touched has been pretty impressive, in my opinion. Greg, what do you think? You're welcome.
I think it's really beautiful. It has a really beautiful kind of like tension that pulls it through, and great herbal note in addition to those kind of like riper, more like chocolate overtones. And I think it's super balanced, super complete wine.
I think everybody has to remember too that, like, I sell a lot of Bordeaux, and Bordeaux is hot right now. People really want Bordeaux on their list. If you're not getting Bordeaux out there on your list, you're missing the boat. If you look at the collection of vintages, I go way back where, into the 80s, where I was buying and selling Bordeaux, and we might get 2 fantastic vintages per 10 years, 2 poor vintages and 6 average vintages. But if you look at at global warming and what's happening since the 80s, we're getting more and more, great vintages in a row. So we have successions of, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, all making really, really solid wines. So you can't go wrong, buying these wines, and especially these second wines. The second wines, there's so much money and time spent producing these wines at Bordeaux that these second wines are just unbelievable values, when you look at what you can get again in this price point.
Yeah.
So look for the wines of Bordeaux, look for these producers, support these producers, and
come and visit us, of course. We're waiting for you.
Yeah, and we like to drink it.
Yeah. drink it and come and share it with us around a nice barbecue.
Or anytime. Like you said, this is drinkable as a cocktail wine. This is a serious dinner wine. Just great flat of wines in general from Bordeaux. So we're going to move to our second portion, which is Germany. And again, the German wines are, one of the things that I've always loved, and I love to use them in food and wine pairings and drink them all the time. So Greg's going to give us a little Somm Geo overview of Germany, and then we'll talk to our three German producers. Thank you so much, Coralie, Nicolas, and Madeleine for your great presentations. And let's move to Germany with Greg Van Wagner.
Perfect. So yeah, heading over to Germany. And Germany is such an incredible wine country. I was lucky enough to get over there in 2019. All a very high latitude, but with these just absolutely incredible vineyard sites. And I live in the high mountains here in Colorado, and rarely, does a vineyard tower over you like a mountain, but in Germany they do. They just have these sheer walls of vines. And while Germany's super well known for Riesling, and with great reason, I mean, they have half the acreage of the grape in the world, and really no country in the world does it as well. There's a lot to explore beyond that. But first, we're headed over into the Mosel, definitely one of the most classic regions in the area. We have Birkenstyle cues. Really, this is like the heart of the Mosel here. We have the villages of Brock, Velen. We're going to go through Zeltingen, Erzeg. This is if there was a core of the Mosel, we're definitely there right now. One thing that you have to see in the area, this is Burgrhein Landshut Castle. Basically, if you're in the town of Bernkastel, it towers over everything. And this castle has a history dating back to the 900s, which is really incredible to see. Then have that they managed to perch that on top of the hill all the way back then. We're going to go to the J.J. Christoffel Urban, sitting right at the base of this vineyard. This is Erzeg of Erzgarten, one of the classic sites in the Mosel. And Erzeg, as far as wine towns go, this is one of the most famous in the Mosel and in Germany as a whole. Then from here, we're gonna actually head over in the van. We're gonna go through the Hunsrück Hills and the forest there. That helps protect both the Mosel as well as the Nahe. When you're this far north, it's definitely important to have all the climate protection that you can have. Here we go. So down into the Nahe, we have a couple of the top villages here: Schloss-Backelheim, Oberhausen, Niederhausen, and Norheim. There we go. So now to Donhof. I love these wines. These one of the classic estates of Germany. Stellar across the board. I'm sure you've also maybe heard of their legendary Oberhauser Brücke, done in the Pradicat levels. It's just a legendary wine. There's some of the vineyards that we're working with now in the middle Nahe. Now on our way over to Württemberg, we're going to take a quick detour to the main brook Würzburg in Franken. Seen this listed as a favorite place to drink wine, and I'm definitely going to have to give that a shot one of these days. So now over in Württemberg, really drives home the point that Germany isn't just about Riesling. 70% of the acreage here is devoted to red grapes. So Trollinger and Lemberger are leading grapes here. And here we have Weingut Brewer. So right at the base of this amazing vineyard, this winery is starting to make some really big waves. They're certified organic and use all native yeast, which is always really great to see. With that, we'll get into some of the Germany wines, and I'll send it back to Jay.
Excellent. Well, now we're going to go right to the Mosel. And, I have visited the Mosel a couple of times, and, both Greg and I live in Aspen, Colorado, where it's really, really steep. When you actually look at these vineyards in the Mosel, you go, I don't know if I could even ski that. There are slopes that, you'd be dragging your elbow. There's slopes up to 70% there. I mean, it's really, really unbelievable viticulture here, where we're really steep vineyards, the slate soil. And, you know, I don't know if a lot of people realize it, but the rows are vertical in these areas. Slate doesn't stack, so we don't get horizontal terraces in these areas. You know, the slate falls down, so the rows are verticals. Oftentimes there's, you know, a pole next to each wine, in each vine, and where they can strap in when you're doing vineyard work, because you could actually fall to your death in some of these rows. They're that steep. I mean, it's really amazing. This area here has been planted for a long time. In Christoffel, of course, some of the, you know, basically we're talking about literally the spice garden of Erzig. They also own pieces of above Erdner Prelat, the great red slate soil area. Some of these vines are 100+ years old, super historic, and their racy minerality comes through. We're lucky to have Philip Konzen with us today to talk about these wines. You know, he actually manages 2 estates, the Monchoff estate as well as J. Christoffel, so he's got his hands full. He has graduated from the historic viticulture and enology school in Giesenheim, so very noted viticultural and agricultural school. So we're lucky to have him today, and we'd love to hear Philippe's rendition on everything that goes on in this area. Maybe we lost him.
Philip, sorry, it's Madeline, but you're on mute actually, so that's why we can't hear you.
Sorry, this was a mistake of me. I start again. My name is Philip. I'm the winemaker of Christoffel. I'm organized also all work from vineyard to cellar and just the sale, the marketing, because we are only a small winery, around 4 hectares. You talk about it that we have a second winery in Mönchhof, so yeah, we have 2 wineries here in Erzig. The wine I want to present today is 2090 Erziger Würzgarten Cabinet. I want to show you some pictures about the type of cultivation or wines. I think it's special. I try to share. Okay. You see on this picture that the vineyards are very steep. We have a lot of small terrace. There are sometimes only a half a meter of soil on these rocks. There are a lot of small walls in front, because under this walls are the rock, and the older generations try to save every square meter for cultivate wines. So we have very small parcels. You see also on this side, the soil is covered with small pieces of slate. The heat is saved in this soil. This is the special type of cultivation. The wines, every wine have a wooden pole, you see on these pictures. We fix the leaves during the summer on this pole. So it's a lot of work hours we need, but you can go on the hill from left to right and back, so it's not so a problem for us that the hill is so steep. On the right side, you see like the wines look today. Yeah, a lot of leaves and grapes there, and we hope that the next 2 months we have a little bit more sun, that it will be a very nice vintage. This is a picture of our old cellar. Here you see this wooden barrels. In the Mosel Valley, we have this 1,000 liter barrels. We call it fooder. This is a traditional way to making wine here. We use them for the wines of Christopher, and the most wines are also fermented with natural yeast. So it's an additional way to make this wines. Some pictures. I'm back. The next I want to show you is the wine we taste today. It's the 2090. I don't know. See it exactly. Ötzige Würzgarten cabinet. So Ötzige Würzgarten. Ötzig is the village name. Würzgarten means spice garden. This name from the vineyard comes from this this notes of herbs in this wine, but it's from the red soil. Red soil is volcanic soil or red slate. In the nose you have some citrus, lemon, peach, I think exotic or herbs. The taste is more dry fruit, apricot, peach. I think it's very creamy, but also very fresh. It tastes not sweet. It's more fruity. But all our wines, for us, it's important to have this balance between sweetness and acidity. So you have a wine where you have fun to drink 1 or 2 glasses, and it should be the mouth on the end a little bit dry. So it's not a sweet wine. It's fresh, it's fruity. To the vintage, I want to say the vintage 1890 have a lot of sun hours, but in 18 we have a very dry harvest time. In 19 the harvest time was very wet. So the wines of 2090 we must do a lot of selections. For us it's important to have less botrytis in the wines, so that cabinet grapes by Riesling is more green yellow, and by Spätlese it turns then to yellow golden berries with a small quantity of botrytis. So this is this fresh wine. This is the same reason why we use for all wines the screw cap. We want to have this fresh minerality wine type.
Oh, Jay, I think we're on mute here.
All right, I got it going on here. Again, I think this wine's fantastic. This is classic stuff. You think about this red slate, it also brings a little bit more heat, a little bit more ripeness in, but what beautiful texture here. And I don't know if you guys ever had, I use wines like this for all sorts of pairings. You know, I do a lot of food and wine pairings. And the fact that it has high natural acidity plus just a small amount of residual sugar works really, really well for spicy Asian food, Southwest American food, because as we all know, a little bit of sugar and acidity will cut the heat. So, you know, in great Asian restaurants, you see just thick lists of great German wines because there's such great pairings. But not only that, the lower amount of alcohol, the refreshing acidity that it has, you know, the apricot, the peach, the lime, the lemon in this wine, the richness in the middle, it's not overly leesy. It's just the fine lees here. Great terroir, a great producer. And you got to think about the time and the labor that it takes to harvest these grapes for what they're selling them for. And the history here, the Romans planted this area, you know, hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And, you know, to get people to even work these vineyards that are straight vertical is crazy. I've hiked these vineyards and it's really, really fantastic. So this brings me back home. I think this wine is showing beautifully. Really a great wine. And Americans need to think outside the box with Riesling, because I think it was, if you think about it, in the last century, the wines of Germany were the most expensive white wines in the world. That has been now surpassed with the connotation that Burgundy is is the most expensive white wine in the world, but these were the most highly renowned wines in the world. And I think it was the propagation of like Zeller Schwarzkopf and Liebfraumilch that kind of especially got Americans to not think about the beautiful minerality and the high quality and the history of these wines. So we really need to do a better job out there marketing these wines, and we got to get these people to taste it. When I taste people on these wines, they go, wow. So let's get them out there, and thank you. This wine's really making my day here. It's really fantastic. Greg, any comment?
This is definitely a wine you hope to get in a blind tasting. It's incredible. It has that classic Mosel style to it, and really specifically to Erzag. But beautiful kind of tropical notes to it. I love a little bit of sugar like this in Riesling. It just to me makes it so much more enjoyable to have glass after glass. Don't get me wrong, I love bone dry Riesling as well. But I love how versatile this makes it with food, and super enjoyable wine, and I'm having a great time with it.
Thank you very
Excellent.
much.
Any other closing comments for you?
Yeah. I think this is the wine where you can start the day, and also it's fresh. It's also very it's an everyday wine with food, without food, on the terrace, sun, balcony, perfect.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Now we'll move to the Nahe. We are going to Donoff. And of course, Donoff, as they say, no one knows the Nahe, but everyone knows Donoff. Donoff is a legendary estate, known for its power, richness, and purity. It is located, of course, in the Nahe, volcanic soils, the Kesselberg slate. Again, fantastic. We're lucky to have Sasha Schomo with us today. Sasha was born in this area. He's a legendary sommelier in Germany and Europe. He now works for the Donoff family, and he's going to walk us through the Donoff Riesling estate from 2020.
Yes. Hello, guys. Hi. Maybe I start with a little bit of the history of the winery, because I'll say how Jay said, Nahe maybe wasn't the most famous wine region in Germany. Just became in the last few years. Maybe I also have to tell you that the Nahe region became an own region just in 1971. So we were separated from the Pfalz, so we are quite young, but Nahe wines, so wines from this area where we come from, we also got vineyards. We also, the Romans planted wines, so it's very, very traditional from the area. So the Denhoff family, we are situated here since 250 years, so quite a long term. Wine was always big focus, but the family we were farmers. So to survive, not only focusing for wine, vineyards. If you had a bad vintage, no wine at all in a bad year, bad situation. So we also had potatoes, sugar beet, cows, pigs, everything you need to survive. Then now over 110 years ago, the family started to bottle their own wines, which wasn't typical at this time. And they also bottled the wines separate for each vineyard. I mean, in the past you were happy for every drop, for every grape you pick and put it up into the next bottle. Thank you. But they also were looking to separate the single vineyards, wine by wine. And then Helmut, so now the last generation, he really started into the wine business, when he was responsible for the winery, and also in the beginning of the 70s. So he had 7 hectares, and he took the chance and was looking for the great Grand Cru single vineyards along the River Nahe, step by step. Now we got 28, and that's also quite enough. Not too big, not too small, along the river. So if you like, I show you our little portfolio of single vineyards. It's quite interesting. Yeah. So we are here in Oberhausen, 300 citizens, so tiny village. Here we concentrate for the soil for volcanic stone and slate. Then we go up the river to the next bigger city from us, Bad Kreuznach, where we got more less loam, quartz, sandstone. So over here now I'm also limestone. So along of 7 kilometers along the river, we got 32 different kinds of soil. So this is absolutely unique in Germany. We can find this different kinds of soil in this tiny area in the middle part of the Nahe. That's why we were looking not only around the Rhinery, so let's look up to the next city, which is also a bit warmer. So here's a little bit warmer. So even in the last few years, I mean, 28 hectares is not too much, but if everything is handpicked, it is quite a lot. Yeah. Also, we got here a lot of steep vineyards with 40 to 70%. Yeah. Maybe it does not look so impressive like Philip's vineyards, yeah, but it's also hard to work by hand. So, but Kreuznach is tiny bit warmer, so we can start picking the grapes over here. So we are never in struggle like in the last few years where it was so hot that we have to get everything in a very short term. So we are quite relaxed, step by step. Then the second one is the different soils. Perfect. Yeah. So the deep ones, the deep single vineyards are not all our vineyards, but all our Grand Cru single vineyards. So we got 10 GG places in total. Yeah. So we took the creme de la creme of the best single vineyards we could get in the last years. And number 3 is the Lemberg, is our big mountain over here. You can see it. So he's in charge of the weather, yeah, to be serious. So it's possible, so the microclimate, it's possible here in Oberhausen. We got hail and what the hell, yeah, the world goes down. The world's end, and over here the sun is shining. So if we lose something, we don't lose everything. So it's always safety first that we got something. Yeah. So yeah. So 10 GG places. We are big fans of sweet wines, to be serious. Yeah, it's our tradition. We are only producing white wine, mostly Riesling, around about 80%. The rest is 10% of Pinot Gris, 10% of Pinot Blanc. Now, step by step, a little bit of Chardonnay. It's getting very interesting. Yeah, the type of soil close to Bad Kreuznach is very interesting for planting some Chardonnay. So maybe we will see. We're also doing a little bit of sparkling wine or sect in the past, mostly from Riesling. Now with a tiny bit of Spätburgunder and the Chardonnay, so it's getting interesting. But the main focus or the heart piece is Riesling, yeah, to be serious. Sweet and dry. Sure, in the past we had 70% we produced sweet wines. Today maybe it's the opposite. Yeah, but at least the single vineyard tells us, or the grapes, they tell us what they like to be. Yeah, maybe there are some Grand Cru single vineyards also along the river. It's easier, or it's more, the talent is more on the sweet side, or sometimes the talent is more on the dry side. Yeah, so we are looking for that. So now 28 hectares, but everything handpicked. Yeah, always nice to work with. We are exporting now in the US market since end of the 70s. So Helmut when he started. Oh, nice story. He was down in the cellar in front of 30,000 bottles of wine from Nahe region, yeah, new area that no one wanted. Nobody wanted the wine. It wasn't famous. It wasn't interesting. Rheingau, absolutely. Pfalz, super duper. Mosel, perfect. Yeah, but Nahe, Riesling from Nahe, I never heard about it. Yeah, to be serious, Nahe was also at the beginning a tasting area, so everything was planted over there. Yeah, Dornfelder, Huxelrebe, so a lot of varieties. Everyone tried everything. Yeah, the more varieties you had, the better you got the chance to come on the market. But at least Riesling was the power on Nahe. So he bought a ticket to the US. No English word. Yeah, and he went in some restaurants to some distributors. He said, "Hello guys, I'm Helmut. I'm from Nahe, and I got some very good Riesling I would like to show you." And the best thing was he not only took his wines, he also took wines from the region, yeah, to represent the area, to say, okay, hey guys, there's a new area on the map. And our philosophy for winemaking is pure, clean, and looking for the terroir, looking for the soil. So we are working very, very classic in the cellar. No spontaneous fermentation or something like that. Yeah. So just clean, plain. Also with the fooders, classic style for the fermentation. Yeah. So the Rhine we brought you 19. Also in our area was very, very hot, so we had to pick quite early. We started with the Pinots at the end of August, middle of September, so 15th of September, we started picking the Riesling grapes and finished on 15th of October. So normally we start on 15th of October, so it's getting earlier and earlier and earlier. But we need to catch a quite good acidity, to balance also the sweet level and everything. So it's absolutely necessary to get the perfect picking date. So Riesling off dry. Maybe it's not written on the label, so there's no Feinherb or Halbtrocken on the label. It's just Riesling. That's what it is. To be serious, for me, the off dry Riesling, that's the acidification of the area. It's mostly from volcanic stone and slate, so it's around our single vineyards, Oberhausen, Niederhausen, Schloss Böckelheim. So in our parts, from Bad Kreuznach, from the other parts, we are taking for the basic Riesling dry. We are using the young plants, also of the GG places. But here for the off dry, to keep the minerality, we take it from slate and the volcanic stone. Got a bit of sugar, it's around about 25 grams. But the most important thing is the clean and pure acidity, to keep it clean and absolutely drinkable. That's not getting overloaded with the sugar, but also not too hard from the acidity. Keep the balance, keep it clean and clear. What else? Bloody hell! Give me some questions.
What kind of lees are you using? Fine lees on this one and racking it off? Because I don't really get a lot of leesy on this. Just super clean, super pure. I love the mouthfeel, the weight on this wine, the richness. I think the sugar is really perfectly integrated with the acidity. I mean, I'm just digging this wine. It's rich, and this is a great value, I think, for Donhoff, right? I mean, your Grand Crus are fairly expensive, but for this is kind of entry level and a great value.
Absolutely. And I mean also to tell you that there's also some very, very good Grand Crus inside. I mean, it's sure the single vineyards. I mean, price level, everything okay, yeah. But this stuff, it's not from a flat single vineyard between potato field. Just put Dönhoff on the label. That's it. So it's they're the young plants, also of the steep ones. Just get top of the top in, yeah.
And what about the lees? Are you racking it off on the lees, Sasha, or how do you deal with the lees on this one? Because I'm not getting too much lees action on this.
It's we let it on lease until end of March, yeah, end of March, beginning of April, yeah. So quite a long term. It's part of it's in stainless steel and part of it's in 1200 liter in Stückfass, 1200 liters. Yeah, we let them in until end of March on lease. So we are quite the latest or super late. Yeah, for the German market always. Yeah, they are scratching on the door at the beginning of April or at Easter. Basic wine, it's finished. No, it's not. Yeah, so we leave them on. Yeah, for me, you know, this wine it's a wedding wine. Yeah, we got a wedding with 100 people. Yeah, if you got a Riesling lover or a sweet drinking or dry drinking, it's everybody's darling, this one. Yeah. It's safety first, and gives the pureness and the identity of the Nahe region. I think for me. So I think the value is perfect. Yeah, you got a fantastic product, and it's not, you know, in Germany maybe Feinherb or something. Maybe the name doesn't sound very well, yeah, on the German mouth, yeah. Because sometimes if you got to Feinherb or something, you think directly, okay, it's a maybe not the highest quality wine. It's a cheap stuff, yeah, somewhere. But for us, that's why we only put Riesling on it, yeah, because it is what it is. Boom.
I think that's perfect. I think, I think Germanic language sometimes is difficult for English-speaking Americans that only speak one language, most of them. And sometimes the labeling issues are an issue, but the bottom line is the wines deliver. And, it's our job as Psalms to get them out there and get these wines in front of people because, like Rosé is a big fan, but think about drinking this one outside on a hot summer day at a barbecue or standing there outside. How refreshing, how delicious. And an excellent example.
Yeah, and so, 10.5 of alcohol, yeah.
Yeah, so you're not going to, American
drink and drive.
Yeah,
drink and drive.
work and pour. For me, I always had like I say, as a Psalm, I always had a bottle at the back because it was low alcohol and I wasn't going to be dripping over everybody. So thank you so much, Sasha. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
We're going to go to our final wine today. Håkan Brø is our final panelist today. He is a BMX champion, so he's got to have some grit here. I mean, he's out there as rolling around. He is a pioneer of the area. We're in an area that a lot of people are not familiar with, Württemberg. And he is a biodynamic producer. We're going to taste his Signy Rosé today. So we're excited to hear from Håkan. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome. Thank you for that I can show my wines today, but some words about the winery. So we are here in the region you told us, Jay. It's a little bit unknown region. It's near Stuttgart. We are directly 15 kilometers east from Stuttgart. Many people know Stuttgart from Mercedes, from Bosch, from Porsche, but they didn't know that there is quite a good wine region here also. So at the beginning, you told us that Württemberg is mostly red wines varieties blended, but here in our small village Stetten is on a side valley of the Remstal, and here we have 80% white wines. And it's nearly the same that Sasha told us before. So here the region you told the people, hey, we have 65% Riesling, and the people say, whoa, you blend now also Riesling? But they are 750 years old here. And so that's the big the big power here, that we have a good region, high altitude vineyards. Our wine vineyards are elevates from 280 meters to 400 meters, and we have always changing soil here, and we have a soil with limestone, and then we have no limestone, and so we have different pHs in the soils, and that, yeah, that's a real fantastic region to plant good grapes, to make nature wines, and that's my working. So we found a winery in 1997. We also was before a mixed farm, small farm, and we bring the grapes to the cooperative. And after my studying and working in Italy, I started a winery to make my own wine, to show the people my own philosophy to how to make wine. And I started in 2003 to ferment all the wines with nature yeast. So it was to tell, yeah, it was really funny that the nature yeast brings you more complexity in the wines, more layers in the wines, and it was great for us. And so we started also working organic in 2004. And since 2008, we are working biodynamic, and so we have a little bit different ways to bring our grapes to a high quality. We work with a lot of herbs, with flowers, with we plant apple trees, quince trees, pear trees in the vineyard. So we want to go to a more mixed farming in the vineyard that brings us as a better quality for the wines. So that's our working at the moment. So also we start this year to make a small part of our vineyards with spraying just with teas. So we have nettle tea, we have Molke also for spraying, and we make our own teas for bring the grapes healthy and to rise up the quality. So that's what we are doing, and yeah, the spontaneous fermenting, the fermenting with nature yeast takes a long time, and so the most of our wines are fermenting to middle of next year. So we are fermenting around 8 to 10 to 11 months, and have a very long lead contact with all our wines, and this our special taste in our wines. Also the rosé we taste now is also fermenting with nature yeast, and we make a Saignée from all our red varieties. So we have Lemberger inside, we have Trollinger inside, and Portuguese also is inside the rosé, and a little bit Lemberger, yes. Yeah. So yeah, the red wines and the white wines mostly nearly by side by side, but the most red wines are they growing on a very deep soil with a lot of minerals inside, and the most of our Rieslings they are growing on a rocky soil like Schilfsandstein, Kieselsandstein, or Stubensandstein. Yeah. So yeah, I think we decide to taste the rosé this evening, because rosé is really famous, our famous rosé for the US market at the moment. So, but maybe the people in the US, they know really this label, for example. But in Germany we have this label, and we make special labels for the US, and we're working with Van Boden in the US, and this is really funny to show the wines with Stephen and John, and so, and they like wines with they are very funny and fruity, but it's really dry wine. And if you bring in the glass, You can see it's a little bit more colored rosé in the 2020. 2020 were for us really great year. We have high qualities in the grapes. The pH was like the last year's a little bit lower, and so it was really spicy fruit in the 2020 with a lot of aromatic in the wine.
So you're
we're looking all.
Go ahead.
Sorry? No, we are looking always for really fruity taste, but always with no sugar left. There is just a small part of sugar left. So you have a wine with 12 volume% alcohol, and real fruity, funny wine with a little bit of carbonic acid in the tongue and the taste, and with a lot of a palette of fruits.
So we had a question from one of the people on that. You know, you're a pioneer with organics and biodynamics and working with the earth and working with bees and animals and being a pioneer of the soil. What do you think about the German, the rest of your compatriots in Germany and their commitment to these kind of practices? Is it really coming around now, and are we all kind of going in that direction, or are there traditionalists that want to use more classic means to grow their vineyards and take care of pests and things like that?
No, here in our area in the Remstal, it's very common to work organic. So I think here in our small village, we have around 100 hectares here in this village, and I think it's nearly 48% is now organic farming. And then also there is another party called Fair Choice or Fair and Green, and so there are no herbicides on the soil, and it's really powerful region here, and there are a lot of young winemakers, and all the young winemakers, they all work organic. That's really fantastic here, and we are very proud of them that there are working like works since 2004 in this structure, and there are the young guys that are coming and say, yeah, let us do more plants in the vineyard and organic farming. And so it's absolutely here in the region. It's also a powerful region. I told you that people didn't know the wines from the Remstal. And the most people, they said, okay, the in Württemberg is like I don't know, they don't know the region, and the Remstal was from Württemberg, the region they was so unknown, and now it's coming with the young guys, and it's really powerful here. So there are a lot of powerful. My son is also, he's studying he's a trainee at the moment in the Pfalz, and now he will go to Geisenheim for studying, and he works also on a big organic farming, biodynamic farmer winery in the Pfalz, and there is nothing other in the head than the organic farming, and so we didn't know the other part. So
excellent.
And also it's a part when you are in this when you're rolling in the organic farming, I think it's not far to the biodynamic farming, and so that's very cool to see what's going on with the biodynamic preparates in the vineyards. So we also do some biodynamic seminars here. For sommeliers, for example, here in the restaurants, because we have a lot of good 1-2 stars restaurants here in the region, 3-star restaurants in the region, and there are also young guys, young sommeliers there, and they're really they're catching for more information about the winemaking, about the biodynamic farming. So we can explain a lot and told one to the other. That's really great.
This is a really great rosé. I drink rosé a lot because it's easy. It's less acidic than white wines or red wines. It isn't, but this wine is unusual in a way that it has a weight and power on the back end, and it has a really cool, like just a titch of herbs on it. It's complex. It's fantastic. I mean, this is, like, I don't think I've ever tasted, this is one of the first wines rosé I've ever tasted from Bettenberg, and I've drank almost everything. So really exciting. And you have the only Zweigelt in Germany, right? Isn't that true? You're the only one who plants Zweigelt in Germany?
Yeah, it's here in our valley, the Remstal is the second home of the Zweigelt. And there was, I don't know, it was in the 80s that they old wine farmer, they smuggled the variety, the wood from Austria to Germany. And so they blended the first Zweigelt here in the 80s. And so it's a really, really fruity, yeah, they're not fruity, it's the wrong word, because in our higher altitude vineyards, we get more spicy notes, and the Zweigelt brings you always a little bit more white pepper and more kind of freshness than the most Zweigelt is in Austria. So because it's all, yeah, you can call them here, it's a more cool area climate here. And this is very, very, very positive at the moment, because the global warming, the weather changing, climate changing, brings you here in this high altitude vineyards, really cool, fresh, aromatic in reds and also in white wines. So, well, this year we are fighting with a little too much water, but the nature needs water. But for us, it's really, really a lot of rain at the moment, and yeah, we are fighting because we can't go inside with the tractor in the vineyards. But yeah, it's always every year is a challenge to get the cool grapes. Yeah.
Well, you're doing a fantastic job. And we need to do a better job as sommeliers in America to get these wines out to the people and realize how many fantastic wines we have. Thanks for your hard work and commitment to doing things right. It's great.
Yeah.
Do you, any of you got any of the winemakers or Greg want to make any final comments here, or throw anything out? Does anybody watching here have any specific questions for any of the winemakers or panelists? I think this was a really great flight of wines and a great great panelists today. I've learned a huge amount in just a short period of time.
Yeah, I mean, I think just the overall quality of the wines that we've seen today, I think is really incredible. And then, then you actually look at the prices of these, and I don't think any of them were even over $25 suggested retail, which I think is incredible, because, there's certain times where you say, okay, well, that's a good wine. Well, okay, it cost me wholesale $100. So yeah, I sure hope it's a good wine. But these wines, just, all of them show just such typicity and classic identity, but also show their site really well, and all for less than $25. I think it's really incredible to see.
Anyone else want to throw their 2 cents in here, ladies and gentlemen? Final comments from any of the winemakers or wine panelists?
We got one question that just came through the question and answer about how is climate change affecting the Bordeaux winemakers.
Who wants to jump in on that one?
I can jump if you want. I mean, regarding the matter, we see some evolution definitely on the climate. There's the appellation of, so I'm gonna speak for the Bordeaux appellation. I mean, it's Bordeaux Superior. We are in different appellation. We just started when I showed the map. We just started to plant actually some new grape varieties. It's called Castet. It's a red grape variety, and the idea is to try to participate to the evolution to actually manage the climate the way it is. So it's going to be just a small percentage of the blend in the next few years, but we see how it goes. It's a local grape variety that actually we could select. So I understand the fact that some people say, well, it's not Bordeaux, but these grapes actually were actually there before. Sometimes we even starting making wine. So it's good to give them a try. Keep them as a minimum, not as not be like 100% grape varietal, but try to put them on the blend and to work with them and to be part of that evolution. And yeah, the part of climate change is also working on your biodiversity, what I explained before, and there's many things that we can work on and that can have an influence in our small vineyard. I mean, is try to have an influence on that. I mean, is that would be the idea in our side.
And how are we doing so far this year in Bordeaux and then again in Germany? Are we looking okay? Was it too hot, too cold, frosty? What can we expect from 2021 in Bordeaux? And then I'd like one of the German winemakers to comment on what we're looking at 2021 in Germany. And Nicolas, you can go ahead and answer, or someone else can. What are we looking at this year so far?
For the Bordeaux region, I mean, like generally speaking, we had a few frosts early April this year. Not only in Bordeaux, but in all vineyards in France, also for the other agricultural part of the France. So that was very impactful for us, very threatening as well. I'm sure Coralie and Nicolas will agree on me that we lost a fruit crop already on April 8th. So that was like a huge threat, especially that early in the year. Now we have lots of like rain and thunderstorms going on right now in the vineyards here in Bordeaux, meaning a lot of mildew. So that's a tough year. We'll see how this summer will go, because it's not the end. We still have like till October to grow the vines, the grapes correctly, and to harvest it. But so far, it's complicated, and we have to adapt. Even if we're trying to be as sustainable as possible and not, we've stopped, like for us, for example, we've stopped the herbicides and pesticides part, but this year, I must confess that we are putting a few pesticides again because of the weather, which is a shame, but we'll see.
It's a tough year because you have to just such a very short windows to protect your vineyard. Right now it's raining, and tomorrow probably the same. So probably on Thursday and Friday we may have some like a window to protect the vineyard against the like Madeleine said, again, the mildew, and it's challenging for the vineyard manager, definitely.
It's challenging, but we manage. And I must say that yes, we need to find the window, but if we find the right window, we have no mildew. And well, we cross finger until now. And on Thursday we plan to have nice weather for a while. So yeah, let's enjoy this and keep cross finger and be positive, because the positive attitude is bringing the attitude.
It's always good. Yeah.
And also that's kind of like the magic and the beauty of the wine. I mean, like no year is the same, no vintage is the same, and that's why we all like it, I would say.
But there is no, I mean, it's going to be an exciting vintage again. I mean, it's challenging, but it's going to be good at the end. So we're exciting to work on that. So that's it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, we challenge with Mother Nature, and it's always a good challenge as long as we respect her.
Well, I want to thank everybody. First of all, I'm also excited about getting back out and seeing people again. I mean, we've been doing Zooms and all this, but now I'm actually in restaurants. I'm doing seminars. I'm seeing people. I'm doing wine parties. I am touching and showing wines again. And for us in this business, we are, so social, and we're in the hospitality industry. And this dark period that we've been in the last year has been tough for many of us. So I'm really excited for the new life. I hope everybody today really, has a new insight on the wines of Germany and Bordeaux. Let's get out there. Let's share the love. Let's show our wines. Let's taste wines. Let's drink wines. Let's see people. Let's tell them about all these great places. But I'm excited about just the future and the fact that we can see and touch each other again here soon. So.
And
Yeah.
since you can, come visit us. It'll be a pleasure to have you here.
Listen to us. We miss you.
That's good. Yeah, definitely. You can come over anytime.
We know how to welcome you too.
For sure.
Germany too, I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure they are pretty amazing too. I mean, that's.
And we want to see you all you winemakers here again too, because
Yep.
it's one thing for us to speak and talk about these areas that we have visited and love so much, but it's another thing to have the true experts show the love and the passion and all the great things you're doing.
Thank
So
you,
unless
Jeff.
unless we have any other comments, I just want to, thank everybody for their time. Great panel, great wines. I'm looking forward to drinking more of these later. It's going to be a good treat.
And that's why we make wine.
Thank you, everyone, for everything on this. Thank you for your time.
Enjoy your
Cheers.
wine.
Cheers, everyone.